Hi again, everyone. So we're here for another chat with one of our, sponsors. So thanks to BigCommerce for supporting this event. So we have Ashley McKemie from BigCommerce.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ashley McKemie. I'm a senior product manager at BigCommerce. I focus mostly on developer-facing products, but also merchant-facing products, and work in a couple different, or focus on a couple different products, including headless, third-party sales channels, and webhooks. And I've been at BigCommerce for about 3.5 years.
What's keeping you busy at the BigCommerce?
So I have to walk the line, because as a public company, we have to be careful with what we can talk about. But high level, I can talk about the strategy of and where we're going with my three products. So headless right now, is a really interesting commerce space where merchants are looking to future-proof their storefronts to be competitive, especially in COVID times when I wish I knew the numbers, but the amount of just accelerated growth that we've seen in online sales. And so e-commerce and commerce in general is already very competitive, but even more so now with so many new brands coming online and more people selling. And so headless is a really interesting space in that it gives merchants an opportunity to be more innovative, to use different technologies to meet either their business needs or shopper needs. It's interesting in that it's allowing people to be much more content driven. So creating really rich content, personalized experiences that help merchants ideally sell more successfully. So convert shoppers more, sell more on their sites. So right now we're really working on expanding not only the set of capabilities, so around some international capabilities, because as BigCommerce is growing, we're an international company, but we're looking to support more of our merchants in other target countries. So we're looking to do that as well for headless merchants. But we're also looking to diversify the platforms that we work with. So headless is, there's a lot of opportunity in headless in that merchants can choose based on their requirements and business needs what front-end technology they want to use, whether it's going to be a CMS like WordPress or a static site framework like Next.js. And so obviously BigCommerce can't build out all of those. So we're really working with partners and our ecosystem to start building those out so that merchants, and our goal is to make it as easy as possible for developers and merchants to choose a framework and then get started with BigCommerce and get to launch as quickly as possible. So that comes down to building a lot more pre-baked integrations that people can easily customize. And then the other, I'll just touch real quick on third-party sales channels. We're really looking to expand what our merchants have access to. So we just did a major launch with Walmart. We take a partner-based approach. So we're really working with the best of breed partners who know how to successfully get merchants' products onto these third-party sales channels. So again, POSs, marketplaces, and marketing channels like Google Ads, Facebook ads, those kinds of things. And so we're working on building out the platform in conjunction with these partners that makes it easy for them to build to us so that they can offer our merchants a seamless, easy to use experience that helps them scale their sales on other sales channels.
And was there a third one?
Oh, there is, yeah. So webhooks. So this one is So webhooks is how this is a much more technical one, but it's how external developers get real-time events from our system. It's pretty standard industry tool that people use. And we're really right now focusing on making them reliable, much more reliable for our partners, because if you're relying on getting real-time data via an event, but it fails, then it really doesn't do you much good. So we're working on that and then making them more performant and scalable so that our partners can make it easier to develop to our webhooks, but also they're able to make their applications built with BigCommerce more scalable and performant. And as a result, that makes the merchant experience much more stable, scalable, easier to use. So improving the experience throughout the whole workflow and life cycle.
Oh, it sounds like your job is, very busy. You're working on a lot of projects,
It
but that's
is. There's a lot.
never a dull moment.
Definitely not.
So I'm guessing that, as I said, it sounds very busy. So I'm guessing you're doing a lot of recruitment at the moment.
Yeah, we are. Actually, we have a ton of roles open on our website. So if you go to BigCommerce Careers, that's, we're hiring. I think there's a whole new engineering team that we're hiring. There's a bunch of roles that open just beyond the teams that I work on as well, but we're hiring for product management, project management, partner marketing, product marketing. And those are just the ones that I, can think of off the top of my head. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities. So if anybody watching is in need of a job and interested, definitely check it out.
Is it safe to say that, all this growth in terms of like e-commerce sort of companies is basically because of the fact that we're in the pandemic and, people are ordering online more, obviously, because stores are closed? Or what's your
So,
perspective?
there's definitely a lot of growth, not just that BigCommerce is seeing, but the e-commerce industry is seeing overall. And that definitely has helped, without a doubt, helped BigCommerce. I would say, we went public around August of 2020. So that also helps spur growth. We're being mindful too of like not only like where the market is taking us, but also what opportunities we're seeing as a result of now being a public company, being a little bit more in the spotlight. Like that's brought some opportunity. And then just, as we continue to grow as a company, and especially as we're continuing to like try to bring in enterprise level merchants and that kind of thing, I guess you could say we're doing it successfully because we're getting more investment into these areas to support those types of merchants. So, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. And I guess, that's where we're all going, even when we go back to, like physical activities like shopping and all that. The growth of online shopping is definitely just, I think, going to go up. There's no like stopping it or slowing it down, because
Yeah.
it's just very convenient. Honestly, because I personally sometimes don't feel like I need to go to a store even, because all the information's out there, in the shops, and yeah, you can just make decisions based on what you see there. The
Yeah.
only obviously challenge is, if it doesn't really fit, then you have to like send it back, and that's just very inconvenient as well. Like I'm lazy when it comes to like sending back stuff, so
I'm so
um,
bad at it. I'm so bad. But you're right. Like, I mean, something like we're never going to go back to pre-COVID shopping and commerce experiences or where traffic comes in. Like, because, and there's a couple of factors, at least that from my perspective, that cause that. One is there's just so many more merchants who had to come online, and that takes time and investment and effort. And they've, a lot of times you have to hire people to be able to do that. So it's not something that they'll just like turn off, because they invested in it. But you're also seeing technology and capabilities of just general e-commerce really growing and maturing very rapidly. So there's a lot of people who are offering like buy online, pick up in store was always something that was available, before COVID.
yeah.
But more people are offering that, more merchants that is, and they're offering more complex functionality around that things that like make it easier, more reliable for shoppers to feel confident in that. And I'd say that's one of the biggest changes in that, like it's really more in the shopper behavior. Not only is it more accessible, but there's a lot more confidence in shopping online and that whole process, like you said, like, and I think returns is a really interesting area. Like, if you look at like Amazon, they make it so easy to get your products delivered, and it's a little easier than other merchants to return products and initiate that. And so if other merchants and e-commerce platforms make it easier for merchants to offer seamless return experiences, you're going to see even more shoppers having higher confidence and less trepidation essentially about purchasing online, because they know they have more confidence that they're going to get the product they want, that it fits, like you said. And if it doesn't, that it's easy for them to return it and it's not a hassle.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, for example, if I want to return something, I don't want to have to like go to a branch, of a shop. If I can like maybe return it to a post office near me, or some some other establishment where it's I don't have to like travel, then that would be better. In
Mhm.
terms of me, being encouraged to to shop more, basically. Okay. Because I remember I ordered something from a shop, and I ordered the wrong size, and I have to return it. But what I did is I ordered the right size first, and then return it. And what happened is I got stuck with the other one. So I returned, two pairs of the same item with two different sizes. So yeah.
You are not alone in that. I think I have, I definitely have, I don't think. I have a pair of shoes that I accidentally got the wrong size. I mean, and this was a year ago, and they gave me the return slip and they're like, yes, you'll return it. We'll send you the right size. And
Yeah.
then COVID hit, and it's just like everything. And
You
I
just
like,
never got around
and
to.
I kept, yeah. And so now I still have this box of shoes that don't fit me. What do I
I
do
think a
with
lot of people can relate to this conversation right now.
that?
This is
Yeah.
great. Okay, I just actually wanted to find out a lot more about, like the company, the culture and all that. So are there, especially because, it's Women's Day and we're talking about, diversity and all that, are there like programs internally that the company is running to encourage more diversity and inclusion? Maybe you can, yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a number, let me see, um, of what we call employee resource groups, or ERGs. Right now, I believe we have 5 different ones. So we have BC and Color. That's our ERG for people of color and allies. We have Big Family. So that's ERG for employees who are caregivers and those who care about them. As I talk about this, all of our ERGs are open to every person at the company, no matter what, because they're all about supporting the people and communities that the ERG is really focused on.
Mhm.
And then our other 3 are Be Empowered. That's our women focus for women, non-binary people, and allies. Be Proud is our LGBTQ and allies group. And then we also have Be United, which is our group for veterans, first responders, and then anyone looking to help or support people transitioning from military life to civilian life.
Okay. And how big is the company right now? If you
Oh,
know, top of your head.
this might be a slightly old statistic, but I want to say we're somewhere in the like 650 to 800 range of number of employees. We have a number of offices. So we have 2 offices in Austin. Back before COVID hit, I worked at the
Yeah.
downtown one. The other one is our headquarters, and then we have San Francisco. A lot of employees based like throughout the United States, working fully remotely even before COVID. And then we have
Mhm.
London, Guadalajara, Sydney, Kiev, and I think I might even be forgetting some others. So we have we've definitely grown very, very quickly, I'd say, in the last couple of years in that manner.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting. I didn't even know you have an office here in London.
Mhm. Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. Um, so, in terms of maybe we can talk about people who are wanting to like move into leadership positions, or maybe wants to like change careers. Do you have any perspective that you can maybe share with our audience, if they're considering those two things?
hmm Yeah. So, I mean, starting with leadership, or maybe it's easier kind of because it can make kind of transitions, but to start with like career shifts, because so I started, I was not an engineering major or tech or anything like that. I went to college to be an English and communications major. Then I was a teacher for a couple, like right out of college, then transitioned to writing and editing for basically an SEO marketing company. Then I went back to school and did a boot camp to become a software engineer. And so I worked as a back-end software engineer focusing on big data and artificial intelligence for several years before coming to BigCommerce and moving into product. And I think one of the big things that I learned there, because especially with career shifts, like there's always the fear of like, am I going to lose my seniority? Am I going to lose the experience that I gained? And of course, it depends on where you go, so I think one of the biggest tips is like, be mindful of if you're looking to switch careers, be mindful of which companies, because some are really like BigCommerce is great about this. They promote internal growth and shifts as well. Like I think there's a guy who's he's our engineering manager for our web team, and he started as a ninja or a customer support member, and so he's grown with BigCommerce through like all different sorts of orgs and roles and into senior leadership. And so it's really about finding a company where you see other people getting those kinds of opportunities and see that they're open and that they care more about what skills you as a person bring than just like ticking the box of, I've had this role, I've had this title. And that was what helped me get change from software engineering to product at BigCommerce. I'd never had a product manager role or title before, but I performed a lot of the tasks that a product manager would do. And so I'd say that's one of the other things, both to like career changes and then also moving up in seniority, is figuring out like what you care about and what you're passionate about, and focus in on that and being good at those things and advocating for yourself and finding people that advocate for you in that. Like Nate Stewart, who is now our VP of platform at BigCommerce. He's been in product for a long time, but I was really fortunate that when I started at BigCommerce, he really took me under his wing and really supported me in being pursuing not only the products, because when I started at BigCommerce, I didn't focus on headless or actually any of the products that I talked about earlier. I came on to work on a different product. And I really wanted to work more with developers because I have a background as a developer and I really am passionate about that. And he gave me the opportunities to work on those things and to approach things more from like the way that my brain works. And so I think if you can find a company where you see people doing that already inherently, that's a good indicator that it's a good company that will support you either moving up in leadership roles or transitioning into a different career. The other piece I think of advice I would give people is take initiative. Like a lot of times is, especially like problem solving is hard. And a lot of people don't I think feel afraid to do that. And it's kind of the same as with a career shift. But a lot of times you have to advocate for yourself and advocate for what you care in. And that means like taking initiative. Like, so if you see that there's a gap in how your team does at something, or a gap in like what your company product provides to its users, you can go to leadership and say, we should do this, but a lot of times they have different priorities and they also don't have like the passion or the knowledge that you have that makes it seem like a very important thing to solve. And one thing that, inherently, like I think I'm a problem solver. I think I was born immediately being like, how can I make things like different and better? Sometimes to a detrimental space, but a lot of times like it does end up being like, and I think that does help accelerate people's growth into senior roles, because you show that you're capable of solving, you show that you can work like with ambiguity. And you don't have to, if you're starting like, in a more junior role, you don't have to say like, I'm going to solve this huge problem, but it can be like, I see that my team isn't, being as efficient with our work. Like if you're an engineer and like doing sprints, right? And you have an idea, like, or if you're like, when I onboarded, it was hard for me to understand what the context of everything, and here's some ideas to solve for it. Guarantee, like, as somebody who's in a senior role now, like when people do that, like I take notice. Like to me, that's somebody I can count on. That's somebody that I can hand things over to. And so that really, I think, demonstrates leadership capabilities and seniority, and will really be like what gets somebody higher up in seniority than anything else.
Yeah, it's the points about advocating for yourself. I think it's really important. because that shows people that yes, you're confident, and you can deliver, you believe that you can deliver things. But having other people advocate for you, as you said, is also important. And I think there are two levels there, right? I was chatting to someone from Fastly, I think earlier as well, and we covered this where there are two types of sort of advocating for you, which is other people advocating for you, which is mentorship and sponsorship. And obviously, there's a difference, right, between mentors and sponsors. Yeah, it's good to have mentors, but sponsors are important because they will actually, fight for you and like introduce you to the right people and all that. So I
Hmm.
think those are the two things that people need to remember. They should have and look, when they're looking for people advocating for them. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting. And I remember I think you mentioned something about, what did you mention? Yeah, yeah, like just putting yourself out there. I remember there was one like young person who pushed me one time here in London. And basically she wanted to know how she can like she wants to progress in her career, but she feels like she's too junior,
Hmm.
and like she felt that she didn't have the right to have a conversation about growth, for her career. And I said to her, you know what, all you need to do, and it's really, I know this is just sounding really simple, right, when I say this, all you need to do, I said to her, is okay, speak to your manager, have a one-on-one with him, and just say, okay, this is where I want to be, like in X number of years, and I'm just like letting you know, that this is my plan. So I said, just try that and see how it goes. And she did, and I think that worked out well because now she's like an engineering manager. From being a junior, like maybe just really a few years ago, not a long time really. And it's having that conversation and being open about what you really want. To do with your career and your life. I think asking is key, right? As you I
A
think I
hundred
should
percent.
kind of alluded to earlier. Yeah, just asking. There's no harm in asking. The worst thing you can get is a no, and it doesn't matter if you get a no. Sometimes, right? You can always say, just try again. Um,
Exactly. I could not agree more. I actually, how I got to senior in my role is like I talked to my manager and I talked to my mentor who, and I told them, I was like, here's where I want to be, and this is what I'm going for. And the one, if people aren't mind readers, so if you don't tell
yeah,
people, they're not going to know what your goals are and what you care about. And also the saying no, like I had to learn that lesson the hard way. When I left a company, I was like, there were some issues with leadership, and I just was so unhappy. And I was like, there's not going to be any opportunity for me to say that and say what the struggles were. And so I ended up leaving, and I found out afterwards that they ended up making some changes in leadership, and because of me leaving. And I'll never forget like that valuable lesson, and that like if I had just spoken up then, like what changes would have
yeah,
happened then. And I don't know that it would have made a difference, like would I've stayed or left, I don't know. You can't know the change the past, but I will never not, if there's something that I want or an opportunity or something that I care about, I will always speak up about it, because you never know how people are going to react. And if it's something you care about, and they say no or they don't give you the opportunity, to me, that's a sign that maybe this isn't the right fit. Like maybe not then, but it's a data point to keep in mind.
yeah.
People change, places change, and asking for something is never going to hurt, I think.
Exactly. And as you said, people are not mind readers. So, in that example that I gave you, like, how would her manager know
Yeah,
about her plans if she doesn't like say it, right?
exactly.
And I think it's also beneficial for the person that you're like talking to, because that gives them the opportunity to be able to support you in the right way as well. Like, yeah, they wouldn't know how to support you the right way if you don't like have that conversation. So
Hmm.
I think definitely we should encourage everyone to to like do that, and be open, and yeah, not be afraid to ask, basically, because it could lead you to a lot of, like, good things if you just ask. Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
I guess I do like it is something to be, I'm really fortunate to, yeah, I've worked in engineering and tech, which is traditionally a little bit more male dominated. And
It still is.
exactly.
That's what we're trying to change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do it. But so I got more used to that. But starting in, and I just typically like I'm a pretty direct person. So, but not everyone is like that. And there's a lot about whether you're a woman or a minority at a company where speaking up and ask for something can be a lot harder for people. And so, some things that like I did early on when I just like, even when I was first in my boot camp was even if it wasn't somebody in the organization or the company I was at, like I talked to people who had similar like parallel or similar experiences that I could get like just a little bit more confidence around the experience that I was going through. So is this normal? Have you experienced this before? What is your advice? So, I think there's opportunity if somebody's not comfortable talking to their manager about something, especially if it's a newer thing for them, you can always seek like trusted advisors, like whether that's friends, family, and to gain some of that confidence. And like if there's other people, like something I've always found in my jobs is that there's people, even if you don't work with them on a day-to-day basis, they're not your manager, they're not even in the same org as you, that are willing to help. And so if there's people that you trust, that even if it's not your direct boss, that you feel comfortable asking, that's always a good first step to like gain that level of confidence and being able to speak up as eventually when you need to.
Is there anything else that you might want to like highlight with regards to big commerce? Um, you know, people might want to be like joining the organization. There's some other, I don't know, advice, tips you might want to give people if
Hmm.
they're considering
You
big
know,
commerce as their next, place of work.
yeah, I guess like every having worked in different industries and different jobs, the thing that like I've really learned, and this is personal, so it might not be the case for everyone, but is that people matter. And even more so when we're all going through like some traumatic events in the past year, COVID, in the US, political stuff, people make the biggest difference. And I will say that if anybody is interested in joining BigCommerce, like the people for me are what make my day, what keep me going through the hard things. And we have, like I mentioned, we have a ton of ERGs, but we have a very strong culture. And I cannot wait until we can go back to the office so I can see all, the people I don't see
again,
interact. Like, we would do Friday trivia, Friday karaoke. I'm a terrible singer, but I'll still do it with my coworkers and friends. But I think that's the biggest thing. Like, so if anybody is interested, like it is hands down the best company culture that I've ever worked for. And that doesn't mean that things are perfect, but they're always open to changing, listening. Like we've had a lot of things, even in this year with diversity, and really leadership really impressed me. And I think a lot of people by listening to the people who are impacted and the people whose voices they need to hear instead of just speaking for themselves. So that's something that I think has really stood out to me about BigCommerce in general.
That's great. It's great to hear. And yeah, I'm, thanking BigCommerce again for supporting us. I don't know how Dan found us, but he contacted us, and here we are,
Well, that's
which is
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Dan
And
is one of those amazing people that
he is very, very active. I think like also
he's
we respond,
genuine.
like quite quickly on the emails and all that. So I think we managed to like get things done pretty quickly between the two of us. So that's good. Oh, I also got reminded that I was in Austin right before lockdowns. So
Oh,
I think
really?
I was in Chicago, and then I went to Austin, and went back to London, only to be greeted by lockdown. So and I remember Austin as being like a warm place, because the weather was really nice at the time. So I was so surprised when you had this snowmageddon. And I said, oh, I don't think they can cope with this, because we
As
in
are we
London.
all.
Yeah, in London we find it difficult to cope with snow. There was a year where everything stopped, sorry,
Mhm,
transportation wise, because there was a lot of snow.
mhm.
But I was saying to myself, but I think because you have snow from time to time, we're able to cope with it. But with Texas, I said no, they're just not. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Uh,
I'm from Austin. I've lived here my whole
mm,
life, so 32
yeah,
years, and I've never seen in that whole time that amount
yeah,
of snow.
yeah, exactly.
There's our infrastructure is just not. We don't salt the roads. We don't. People don't have snow like tires or anything like that, and like
Yeah.
then like our houses aren't insulated, and so that's why like a lot of people had like burst pipes and things like that
Yeah.
as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Normally, because
Anyway.
now it's 80 degrees, so it's it's a
Oh, is
little
it?
still.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Oh, a very big change. Anyway, thanks again, Ashley, for chatting with me. I enjoyed this conversation, and I hope our attendees for the conference got a lot out of this. And if they want to reach out to you, I guess are you on Twitter or LinkedIn? And
Yes.
obviously, they can check out Big Commerce's site and all that. Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks again, and yeah, hopefully when I'm back in Austin, I'll see you there.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time and this opportunity. It was awesome.
Thank you again.